Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We are on episode number 70. My name is Craig Perales, and that is Mandrew Montemayor, and you guys are watching Last Call Gaming. So, before we move any further, guys, take a minute, take a pause, check us out on all of our other social medias. Like, follow, subscribe if you can. That's going to be Last Call Productions on Instagram, Last Call PRODZ on Twitter. Follow our Facebook page at Last Call Production. And if you guys are interested in the audio-only version of this podcast, you can find that on Castbox, you can find it on Spotify, and you can find it on iTunes. So, as we like to do on every episode, we like to start with a nice little tasty beverage of choice. And this one comes from Dante Zaccardo, and he recommended an episode or two back the Mississippi Mud, which is a 5% porter and pilsner brew, essentially making it a black and tan, which comes out of the FX Matt Brewery Company. I got to say, you guys can see the growler behind us. You know it's dangerous territory when it comes in this and not like an actual like bottle or a can. I really like it. Andrew's the one that grabbed it. How does it hit the palate, sir?
I think it's actually pretty good. It just, you can't read our Last Call Gaming.
Oh yeah, we have really cool mugs, but
here.
It's so dark. Like it's like a dark amber. You can't really see it against these black letters that were made graciously by Sabrina Olander for our Last Call mugs. But it's got a nice smell to it, like a nice toasty malt.
No, other than that, I think it's good. It's definitely better than some of the other things I've had. So
yeah, I gotta say I like it. At that 5%, I was kind of nervous about it. I thought it was gonna be a little too thick. It goes down quite smooth, very tasty. It had a pretty big head on it when we poured it, because we poured it before obviously we started showing, before recording it, and looks clean. I mean, it's a nice tasty beer. I mean,
yeah, I do want to say, like, I feel like it's not very heavy for how dark it is. You know, usually those darker ones, like, you kind of feel like it's almost like thicker, like when you drink it too. Like, this does not feel like that at all. So I think it goes down.
I think it's definitely a at-home beer though. I don't know how many of these you can go out and start slogging down at the bar with your best mates. But
I would definitely have at least one of these, like, out while eating something. This would actually go really good with, like, a steak or something like that.
Look at him staking it up. So, anything else you want to add on this tasty beverage?
No.
Nice. All right. Well, let's move into today's story, guy. Would you blow it?
For good luck.
For good, but the best of luck, as they say. So, we want to get into a couple things, and one is that the Game Awards 2020 has a full list of its nominations. Now, this is the one that's now fully ran by Jeff Keighley. Andrew and I had the great honor of going last year to what I think was then called the VGAs. It was a really spectacular time, and what this is essentially kind of the Oscars of video games. It gives out awards in many categories: best game of the year, best art direction, best narrative, best performance, things like that. Now, before we get any further, there are other outlets that give out awards. There's other things like Games Radar just had the golden joysticks and things like that. So the reason we focus on the Game Awards is, I would say it's probably the best one to focus on and probably the most in touch in the industry. Would that be fair?
I would definitely say it's more important, and nothing kind of made that clearer than last year, where that was actually where they showed off the Xbox Series X for the first time, and then they also showed off PlayStation 5, like, as the name for the first time when they showed off Godfall. So to be able to pull in something like that, I thought definitely, put the mark in the sand, like, this is where we are as a presentation, like everyone else is back there.
Yeah, and Keighley's definitely got some contacts, and he's definitely, he does things that are moving in the correct direction, I feel, in terms of award ceremonies like this. Now, unfortunately, last year we were able to go see it live. This year, due to the pandemic still moving on, it's going to be an all digital streaming that you can watch, that is actually going to happen on December 10th, which is just a few weeks from now, at 7 p.m. Eastern time, streaming across things like YouTube and whatever other streaming service you want to go and see. Now, I want to bring up the Game of the Years that are up for their particular category, and the games they have going on is Animal Crossing, which is done by Nintendo, Doom Eternal, which is by id Software, Final Fantasy VII Remake from Square Enix, Ghost of Tsushima from Sucker Punch Games, and The Last of Us Part 2 from Naughty Dogs. These are the 6 games that they've chosen. I think it's a pretty well-diverse list. I don't think all of them necessarily should be on there, because there's 2 things I wanted to point out of who gets to pick these games and why they are on there. So The first one is that it's picked by an international jury of over 95 global media and influencer outlets based on their history, which is done by a tally ballot. So these guys get a vote. Once they see X amount of names, that becomes what's on the docket as what you're able to vote on. The second piece is that there's a cutoff of what games count. And this is kind of the more thing we wanted to focus on because there were some big games that just recently came out. Now, the cutoff is the game has to be for public consumption on or before November 20th, 2020. Every game that comes out after that will be up for Game of the Year 2021. So, Andrew, you're looking at this list. I mean, how I've got a chance to play all the games on it. I know you've played and beaten some of them on there. How does it look in terms of, I mean, are these the correct games? Are they missing anything? Do you think anything got snubbed? Should something be on there that isn't?
I don't know if there's anything that really kind of got snubbed because I haven't got a chance to play like Miles Morales or the new Assassin's Creed, but I've heard those were great and those just came out. It kind of just really depends. Like I think The Last of Us definitely deserve it. Ghost of Tsushima was like a huge hit, and that's something that's on there. Personally, I actually really loved Paper Mario this year, and I think that that's something that should have been on there because I thought I know it had some of its problems because it was a little different, maybe not what some people were wanting, but as far as the story went, the characters and everything like that went, I even love the new gameplay mechanics and everything. You have to implement something new versus just kind of, we're just going to do the same thing but make it look a little bit better. They did something that no one else was doing at the time. I actually kind of would have maybe put that up before I would have put Animal Crossing.
Yeah, Animal Crossing is one of these games where, and I'm curious of where they kind of made this, why it made the cut. Like, is it based on sales and how many people are playing it? Is that part of the criteria that these judges go, oh, that should be Game of the Year because it sold game? Because nobody saw Animal Crossing selling as much as it did, as fast as it did, and being as in many hands as it did. And again, I've been playing it, and I see the appeal. But for a gamer like me, and I assume you, it's just not my cup of tea. It's not a game where, I mean, it's a login daily game. To me, it's almost like a mobile game. Like, I'm going to log in, do my thing. There's no beating it. There's no really developing it further than just the island, story. And I don't know if I would put that in the Game of the Year. I am super happy that a thing like Hades from Supergiant got to be on there. A nice independent studio, rubbing shoulders with the big boys.
That was actually a really cool
I just
call.
bought it, started playing it the last couple of days. Before you leave, you got to play it. That game is actually super fun. But like Andrew is saying, I raised my eyebrow at how Assassin's Creed Valhalla that came out on November 10th, which makes the cutoff, and Miles Morales Spider-Man that came out November 12th that makes the cutoff are not even mentioned. And more importantly, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is only nominated, unless I missed it, in one category, which is innovation and accessibility. So, if you're not even nominated for the Game of the Year, how are you nominated in that particular category? And Miles Morales Spider-Man was nominated in Best Action Adventure and Best Voice Performance for the guy that does Miles Morales. It's hard for me to wrap my head around. Maybe Assassin's Creed I can see, but I've been playing Spider-Man, and man, it's fantastic. And I would easily, as much as I love Doom Eternal, would put it so far above Doom Eternal. So I'm curious how they're not on there or even mentioned in other categories.
It's all just going to come down to personal taste. Like, personally for me, I think I would put in the innovation, and this is something that didn't go into any of the categories, would be Yakuza 7. Because that game before was just like a kind of beat 'em up RPG, and now it's just a straight RPG. I'm still playing it. I'm on the back end of it.
I still see you on there.
I have like 2 chapters left, I think, so I should finish it this week. But that game's a straight up RPG with classes, weapons, armor, all that stuff, and that's something completely different than what they've done in the past games. So if anything's innovative and taking your brand in a different direction, that it's a completely different fucking game.
How do you feel? The last year's lineup was Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, The Outer Worlds, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. How do you feel this year's lineup stacks compared to 2019? Because I think 2019,
I would say, is better.
You think it's better?
Yeah, I think
okay,
so.
I'm looking at 2019. I thought that was pretty good, but
I think it's a lot more diverse too.
Yeah. Who would you bet is taking it home from this one?
I think it's gonna be The Last of Us 2, like hands down. That's already what everyone else has with all their other rewards and everything. Even at the Golden
Sekiro was the underdog.
Joystick,
So who do you think would be the underdog winning this thing? Because Last of Us, I think, is generally speaking, I don't even want to say the fan favorite, the critic favorite to win it. who do you think the underdog coming into this thing would win?
Animal Crossing?
See, I'm thinking Hades is probably more the underdog than an Animal Crossing. Because Animal Crossing,
yeah, because
it's on everyone's tongue these days, where Hades is like, I don't know how it seeped through the cracks to be in Game of the Year. Super excited for them and awesome for them, but like, especially when there's Valhalla's and Miles Morales that it passed up. I would say if that one wins, I would be extremely shocked.
I would like to see some of those others win, because I feel like I really liked The Last of Us 2, but for me, it's definitely not my Game of the Year. Like, I had far more fun playing Paper Mario and a better time playing Paper Mario. Does it have, like, a good story? Maybe the best story I played this year. I don't know. I haven't finished Yakuza, and there's a couple other games out there I still need to beat. Sure, maybe graphically it's a beautiful game that I could see it in these other categories winning, but for just all-around Game of the Year, definitely not for me.
Yeah, the only thing I want to point out is because of that cutoff, that means that technically Cyberpunk is no longer going to be qualified for Game of the Year, and I'm wondering if that hurts its chances. And we're going to talk about Cyberpunk a little later on. I wonder if that would hurt its chances to be a game that came out in December 2020 that's still going to be remembered as fondly when it comes to the end of 2021.
It will when they announce Keanu's going to be there and we can meet him.
Oh, again? No.
Yeah.
Well, I tell people I met him. So, I don't know. I thought it was interesting. It's a healthy lineup of games. I'm curious what you guys think. Is that the game of the year to you? How many of those games have you guys got to play? Because I've got to say, it's cool that Switch has... I mean, a lot of these are on PC, so when we say exclusive, I mean in the console version. It's cool that Hades and Animal Crossing are on there for Nintendo, because last year they only had Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, so it's cool that they're kind of moving up in the ranks with that.
I don't know. Sekiro deserved it last year, especially for me. So.
Well, and it's interesting because Sony has 3 games now exclusive, being Ghost, Last of Us, and then timed exclusive for Final Fantasy, where Xbox, I guess technically speaking, you know, now that they own or are in the process of owning Bethesda, I guess Doom Eternal would count as an Xbox game, even though it's cross-platform.
I won't count it till next year when the deal is done.
When the deal is done. So, I don't know. I thought it was very interesting stuff. Is there anything else you want to add on that?
Nah. So, I'm ready to watch it, though. So, I would definitely... I mean, they always show off all kinds... If you've never watched it before, I would definitely give it the time of day, because usually they show off all kinds of new things, new games. Obviously, we saw new consoles last year when we went, so... I personally actually really enjoy it. So good work, Geoff, if you ever watch this.
Yeah, please watch it. Please give us a Twitter shout out. But so again, guys, that is going to be airing on December 10th. And the reason we're only talking about the game of the year is because I thought it was interesting about a few games that have came out that aren't nominated in much. But as we get closer to the Game Awards, Andrew and I will probably have a full show that's maybe dedicated, or at least halfway dedicated, to the outcome. So
yeah, at least give our own thoughts.
So that is that. And moving forward into the next category, console shortages are a big thing right now. The Series X and S and the PS5s, as we get closer to December and as we get closer to Christmas, this is something that everybody has been looking for, and unfortunately we live in a time that it's very sparse to get, and there's a couple of reasons. One is that everyone's looking for them. Everyone wants this for, to be under the tree for their kid, family member, spouse, whatever. 2, and a bigger reason at the time is COVID. The pandemic stopped a lot of production on a lot of the systems. But the bigger one that we're kind of seeing more and more recently, and Andrew brought it to my attention with a few articles, is that we're having really shady delivery drivers, whether that be FedEx or UPS, kind of doing some shady things. And then also we're seeing scalpers being a huge problem with this generation. So, Andrew, I'll let you start off with it. What are you seeing out there in the wild? What are people reporting on? What's happening out there?
Yeah, we'll throw up a couple links and a couple pictures and stuff here. I was even reading from Twitter. Amazon's actually starting an investigation right now, because there's lots of people who... There's even a woman who went to go do an unboxing right as she got her PlayStation 5, and I think it was an air fryer that's inside. Lots of people are getting stuff that wasn't what they ordered. It's just different cooking materials, a foot massager, just all kinds of weird things. But even going a step further than that, there's lots of people saying that theirs says it's been delivered and or already received by them, but they never actually received it. They didn't get anything at all. And when they try to file a complaint to Amazon, all Amazon says right now is we can either offer you a refund, or when something becomes available in the coming weeks, we don't know when, even though it's already late delivery because it should have been day one, but it's not, we'll ship one out to you. So even shadier too is we'll actually throw up an image to it. There was another gentleman. I think a lot of this actually seems to be mostly in the UK, surprisingly.
Yeah.
There's another gentleman who said he saw his driver outside get in the back of the truck, go back into his truck, and he was watching his tracking, and it marked it as delivered to or failed to deliver. And the driver went down to the next house. He actually had to go outside, walk over to the guy, tell him to get his box out of the back, and he took it, but his box was actually ripped in the corner just enough to where you could see what's inside of it to tell that it's a PlayStation. So there's lots of like weird and shady shit going on with it, on top of the fact that this is already a hard enough console to find.
Yeah, it's crazy because, I mean, the few fortunate that were trying to get the digital version of the PS5, some of them lucked out and actually got the disc version of the PS5, and that was mainly because...
That too, they're boxing them wrong?
There was the shorter... A lot of it saying that there's a shorter... supply of the digital, so they just gave them the disc version. But yeah, imagine waking up or opening up your box and it's dog food or irons and things like that. That's just sucks. And it's even shittier when the guys who are dropping off these packages are opening, trying to peek at them and then marking them off. I mean, that's, I would assume, a very fireable offense. But the other one that we've kind of ran into more recently is because we just had a winner who won a PS5. So we are on the look for a PS5. And recently, I think that, because we're mainly focusing on Sony here because they've had the bigger issue, is we've been jumping on their second round, their third round of online digital surplus there. And every time you jump on, we've had about 7 people trying to get it, and they're out instantly. And so recently, it's been showing that scalpers have been jumping in, and mainly it's this, as a big example, this group in UK named the Crep Chief Notify have managed to get around 3,500 PS5s. Now, they're a group that has been known to mainly focus in clothes and apparel. And what they do is they use this bot software that mainly goes after like shoes or purse bags or things like that. And they've kind of switched over to the electronic game because they know that's where a lot of money is. And this group is known to be of 12 core management members, but under their kind of, because they have a subscription that you can be a part of to get inside info, there's thousands of people in the group. So it's one thing when someone's trying to, steal your package right off the door. It's another thing if you maybe pre-ordered 2 and you want to sell one to make your money back. But it's completely broken if a group somehow is able to pocket 3,500 PS5s and then try to resell them.
Yeah, and a lot of these too, I mean, there's people selling it for crazy, ludicrous prices online, but I mean, usually the cheapest that you can find, and a lot of people, unfortunately, are willing to pay it, and that's part of the problem too, is there's even I think it's called like Overstock X is the website, but their physical PlayStation 5 is going for $1,100 and the digital is going for $900.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just pieces of shit like that's your living, I guess. And I mean, I don't know, maybe I can't knock it, but you're supposed to say you respect the hustle, but there's tons of people out there who can't get something at a decent price now because of something like that. I was even on it, on Walmart.com, refreshing right when it got through, made it all the way to the end, had it in my cart, had everything going, put in my card info because it rejected my card, or it said there was a problem, so I thought maybe it was a card, so I just swapped it out. Anyways, so either way, it's still in my cart, and the website just would not process my payment for the PlayStation 5. And I tried it for over an hour before I was like, fuck it, and just quit. Because either the website's not working, or I don't know if it was out of stock, or what the situation is, but they need to come up with some sort of better solution. Either that, or I don't know why they're doing some of these online when they already know there's such a big issue, but none are physically coming to stores. I've actually talked to the person at our GameStop, and it's already been worded out there for most GameStops for Black Friday. They're only going to have 2 of each console. So I just don't get why they're giving more and more and more to these scalpers, because even when that next wave comes out, I guarantee you it's hardly an everyday person trying to, get the console for themselves, a family member, something. It's a fucking scalper trying to resell it.
Yeah, and it's weird because there's no real law against it. Like, all it says is that, a lot of places you can't book more than 1 at a time. You can't pre-order, I think you said. You can't pre-order more than 1 or 2 at a time. So when they have these many numbers and this little army of theirs to get them, doing it things that are, the bot runs so much faster than any human's actually able to, lock in and get. So I don't know how they can move forward. Obviously, this has never been this big of a problem before because we've never lived in a pandemic era where everything has been almost on a digital front. So we just now kind of realize how bad that can be, and I really don't know how you can fix it. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of guys smarter out there than me that are familiar with this type of, botting and things like that, and jumping on it before we have a chance to. I wouldn't even know how you would correct it.
Just start sending them physical. For some reason, I heard Walmart's not getting any of them, Target or anyone like that, that it's all just online. They'll have them available online to order versus physically something in the store, which is why, again, a big part of when we got ours, it was physical. I did not want to order anything online. I went in, made sure I had everything taken care of. I want to physically get it. I don't want to deal with some fucking... it's already bad enough you have to worry about porch pirates. Now you have to worry about the guy who's supposed to deliver your shit stealing your stuff too, so...
Yeah, so if you guys are looking for items and looking for consoles, the sad reality is that you're probably not going to see them until 2021. Yeah. And not only is it because we're all looking for it, and two, there's a shortage because here's the other thing. Sony sold all available units. I mean, they sold everything. There's nothing left for them to ship out. Their last one, I think, was last Wednesday in terms of orders that they had to give out. So everything's gone. They have to start remaking these now to make the second gen, and your only way to get this now is through scalpers online, and we're paying ridiculous amounts of money for something that never should have been there, and it's super unfortunate because that's just, it's just completely unfair to the people that are looking for it. We're still looking for one to give to a fan that won it, so we're all kind of stuck in the same boat when it comes to looking for that next gen PS5, whether that be disc or discless. So super bummer.
Yeah, if you're part of that problem, I hope you catch COVID.
Yeah, goddamn, the UK's running wild. So is there anything else you want to add on that? I don't really know if there's too much to say outside of what has just been happening the last few weeks.
No, it's kind of been a lighter week. I mean, with Thanksgiving coming up, happy early Thanksgiving to anybody.
So let's move into ripping it up. And Andrew, why don't you go ahead and take care of it first?
Sure. My first and only riff is that a QA tester put out a tweet story that they have been playing Cyberpunk 2077, of course, and that they are already over 175 hours of the game, and they still have not beat it. Now, they followed this up with that they're not doing a completionist run, but they are doing a stealth-styled gameplay on the hardest difficulty. So I could see how that could be, whatever on that amount of time. But still, 175 hours is fucking stupid.
It's huge, yeah. I believe the guy's name was Lucas Babille, and yeah, he was stated saying that he's playing on the slow play, he's doing it hard, he's trying to go after everything, he's doing it stealthily, and I don't think CD Projekt Red has an official clock time of what it would run to do everything. So again, we and Andrew have talked, if this is your 1 to 5 games a year that you're going to play, it's good to see that there's tons to do in this game. Like, if this is the game that you want to dive into and spend your time in, there's plenty to do, because they went on, I believe CD Projekt Red was in a Q&A, and they had someone ask them, what is the actual time? And they're saying, if you're sticking to the core version of just the main quest, it's a shorter game than Witcher 3 actually is, and it's coming in around 50 to 60. So if you're not trying to go out and explore everything, which we're seeing now is 175 plus, 50, 60 is not terrible. I mean, especially if we both beat Witcher 3. If it's a smaller game than that, then CD Projekt Red seems very doable.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, if that is your one thing, I'm just not, like, a big fan of games that are like that. I mean, I play Skyrim and stuff like that. I guess it's different depending on what it is. Like, for Skyrim, I felt like every little thing I did kind of really meant something, whereas when I was doing Witcher, there's just, like, a lot of bullshit quests. There was a huge, massive map where most of the story doesn't even go. And so, like, I'm not the kind of person that I'm going to want to go, like, all the way over there for no reason. Even Assassin's Creed Odyssey slightly kind of had this problem when I played it. There was, like, 1 or 2 islands up in the corner that I didn't actually go to. I was like, what was the point of even making all that bullshit over there? I guess it is for those people who like doing that. And I go out of my way to do lots of side stuff as it is, but, like, once it gets to a point, I'm like, dude, I got, like, a million other things to play.
Yeah, I think, Odyssey, I think, had the one achievement that, like, as long as you unlocked every piece of the map.
I didn't do it.
You didn't? Yeah, I remember getting it, dude, and sometimes the map, it looks done, and that little tiny part that you didn't cross over, that one took me a minute, and it was a pain in the ass. So, anything else you want to add on the Cyberpunk?
No, what's yours?
So, if you guys were looking forward to playing Watchdog Legions, like I was, and were you?
Not really, but sure.
So this game came out on October 29th.
If Ubisoft's watching, yeah, I'm dying to play it.
I love to get those codes. Well, here's the other impressive thing. They put out 2 big games and almost back-to-back. They have Assassin's Creed Valhalla and they have Cyberpunk. They have Watch Dogs. So
one of them's broken.
They put out 2 really big games. And yeah, the problem with Watch Dogs is that it's been having this bug issue that the autosave is not necessarily working, or it stops or it breaks, meaning that certain people, because there is no manual save, which is
stupid.
Is very stupid and very poor thinking. So when it relies on the autosave, right, you hit certain check marks and checkpoints, and it'll do it. What it's doing is people will put in 8-hour sessions, and it doesn't autosave it, and it clocks them all the way back to there. So when they load up, hours upon hours of play isn't remembered or recognized, and that is a complete bummer, especially on a game that's supposed to be very big. Now, what the Ubisoft has come out and said is that they plan on fixing it. It should be fixed in the first week or so in December. So that means
this is a game that came out at the end of October.
Right. That means over a month of time has gone on before they want to patch the bug. And the other thing is that their online component, because this game's supposed to be an online element where you can do certain things, that's not even going to be so even if you got the game, the online component's not even available to 2021. So I would urge anyone, there's a sale on Black Friday for $30 or $40. If you want to get it, snag it, but I wouldn't even touch this game till February.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Put it on the back burner. Cyberpunk's around the corner. Put Watch Dogs on the back burner and do it then, because if the saving's not working and the online multi-function isn't working, then this game's not done. It's not functionally playable.
I can understand how they did, because why they don't have a manual save, because if somebody dies, it's supposed to be like that permadeath thing. You can just revert back to a manual save, but they need to have an option in there where you create a manual save, and if someone dies or there's a big decision or something that's game altering, there's only one save, so the autosave should write over that, and then you could just manual save over that again later or something like that. That, even right there, I came up with a simple solution for you right there.
Done.
Took 2 seconds to do. So the fact that it took even over a month for you guys to address this issue, egregious.
Yeah, we're seeing this at the end of November that it's going to be fixed in a week or 2. So, bummer, because Watch Dogs Legion was a game I was actually looking forward to. I'm a fan of 1 and 2. It just kind of sucks that this one's not ready. So, again, we live in that era where games come out broken the day one you buy them, and you got to wait about 6 until they're fully runnable. So, I would not play it until at least early next year if it was a game that you were looking forward to getting. So, anything else you want to add on that?
You think that's why it's not a Game of the Year nominee?
Again, I was looking at those. I don't think it was on anything. So I don't think it really, it's kind of innovated in what they were doing with the unique permadeath version of characters. But other than that, I don't think it brought anything original to the table. And I don't think it stood out in anything that it displayed. So
it just got lost with everything too, because the consoles came out like a week or so after that, and then Assassin's Creed right on top of that too, with every other game, Demon's Souls.
I'm curious if anyone that bought Watch Dogs, if you guys have had the issue, because the article I was reading, the guy said he didn't have any real issues with it, but this is a bug that's been known to be like a lot of people are experiencing that. So maybe you lucked out and you're not seeing it, but I would just be cautious with this game, especially if you're going to be playing an 8-hour sesh over Thanksgiving holiday, and then you go back and you've lost 9 hours, 10 hours of gameplay. So
I actually saw it in Podcast Unlocked, because we're a part of that group, and somebody said, at first I lost like 30 minutes, which isn't a big deal because you can just skip the cutscenes, whatever. But then the second time you lost like 4 hours worth of gameplay, and that's where I would draw the line.
Because who wants to keep stop and playing? You know, I mean, get to a certain point, load it just to see if your last 30 minutes counted. So inexcusable. So that is the end of that. So Andrew, let's move into a little. What are you playing?
I am still, of course, playing Yakuza 7, bouncing back and forth between Call of Duty. I'm on the tail end of it. Spoilers. There's 15 chapters. I'm on 12, so I'm just about
a little bit.
Yeah. Right now, I kind of got a little bit of a grind because there's like a big jump in like levels and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm actually really loving the game. I feel like I still liked Yakuza Kiwami 2's story better, but I was worried kind of about the JRPG and like turn-based combat and everything like that. I'm loving it. The game's there. It's Yakuza in spades. The combat's just different, and the story's actually really picking up as of because I was only at chapter like 5 And last night I just cruised through 6 because I was so overpowered. I just started going through the stories.
Nice.
So I was doing all the side shit. So maybe that's what took a little bit. That the story's really kicking off for me now, and I'm really enjoying it.
So what would be next? Are you doing Valhalla next, or is there something else on your plate before you get into Cyberpunk?
I think I can beat Valhalla before Cyberpunk, so that's probably what I'll do.
Nice. Okay. So anything else that you're playing, dabbling, wanting to dabble in outside of those?
Nope, just a couple little smaller ones.
So I did get to beat Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I got to say it's a hefty game. It's big. I think I'm at, and I wasn't just doing main quests. I did a lot of side stuff. I found some legendary weapons. I killed all the legendary animals, and I think, and again, I leave my Xbox on a lot. I think I'm around 70 to 75 hours of play, and it's a good game. I would recommend anybody that's a fan of Assassin's Creed to play it, or anyone that's looking for more games like Cyberpunk or things like that you can delve your time into. Play it. It's really fun. I can't wait till you play it because there's a couple questions I want to ask you, so hopefully by the end of the year we can address those. But the game I just started, or I dived more into, I played it 2 weeks ago, but now I'm playing it more, and I actually got it pulled up right here, is Spider-Man Miles Morales. And again, why I brought it up earlier, it's fantastic. If you liked the Spider-Man game, which any PlayStation owner, I would say, does, it's just more focused. Now, I'm hearing that it's a shorter game in terms of time, maybe 10 to 15 hours, but they've honed in on what's good about this game, and I gotta say, I really, really have been enjoying it. The only other game I dived into was a game called Torchlight 2 that me, my brother, and Deandra are all playing, and it's kind of like a Diablo game. So if you're looking for something like that to play with maybe you and Cece or something like that,
that sounds pretty cool.
It's a fun little game. So that is what I've been playing, and again, up until Watch Dogs I should have done by hopefully before November is over, but I think the real next game is just waiting till Cyberpunk comes out, and we'll kind of dive in there. Because after these big games...
Watch Dogs or Miles Morales?
Miles Morales?
Yeah, you said Watch Dogs.
Oh, did I? Yeah. Oh, I meant Cyberpunk. So, yeah, I don't know if there's really anything I'm going to try to fill the gap in between that. Maybe just play some small indies or something like that.
Take a break or something.
Yeah, good break. Hey, a good break. So, guys, normally we would do video game questions, but... tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and we've got plans that we're going to start doing. So we are going to skip the questions of the week. We will answer some next episode, but we are going to give you guys the new contest giveaway that we're going to be doing. So the new contest is going to be a 3-game giveaway to a winner. So what does that mean, you might ask? That means that any game that's going to be on last gen or this gen, we will buy that for you in a 3 version, and you can mix that up. You want a game on Xbox Series X, you want it on PS5, you want one on Switch, we will bundle that for you. Now, this is going to run from November 26th is when this episode will be up, and it's going to run all the way till January 26th will be your last entry, where January 27th will be the day of the giveaway. Now, in episode terms, that is episode 70 that now you're watching, all the way up until episode 75 as a contestant entry, and episode 76 will be the giveaway. And you need to write in the comments hashtag LastCallGaming, and we will do what we always do. We will put it into a nice little hat at the end, pull a winner, and this is actually going, this is kind of what our next year kickoff, right? It'll take care of everyone through Christmas and New Year's. And then the first episode we do in January 2021, we'll announce the winner and get them something fun.
Yep, start of the year, giving away something to you.
Yeah, so I believe, as long as nothing's region locked in terms of games, it's every country should be open to this, because there's a big difference between shipping 3 games, and unless you want the digital code, which will do us a bunch of favor. If you want the physical copy, we'll get it for you, but it's easily more doable to ship that than it is a PS5 or a Series S or something like that. So that is the next giveaway. I hope you guys are excited. Again, Andrew and I want to constantly give back, and we're hoping to start off 2021 pretty strong.
And again, as far as the 3 games go, as long as it's not crazy hard to find or some weird rare thing that's fucking sold out. And again, base game,
60 and under.
Yeah,
or 70 and under now, depending on which one you pick.
But yeah, no $200 collector's editions.
Yeah, so that is the end of that. Andrew, is there anything else you want to offer these fine people?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Be safe, be responsible. Not much more you can say about that. We're in a pandemic, so I don't really... It kind of sucks. This is one of those holidays that revolve around a lot of people getting together. I would argue this is more than Christmas. So I'm curious because how that's gonna affect a lot of people.
I know now. No one's gonna get to see your pot belly.
My pot belly. So guys, until next time, my name is Craig Perales, and that is Mandrew Montemayor. Cheers.
See ya.
Ooh, look at him go!
Hey, this is John and Ben with Geek Exploration, the podcast, and we have something new and exciting to share with you. We made a comic book!
Now live on Kickstarter, Space Oddities #1.
Space Oddities is an adventure comedy story about the crew of the Aftosa, Jorge McSanchez and Dirk. They are in the business of locating and procuring lost or misappropriated antiquities.
While on a job, a young woman named Jet Paxton suddenly becomes an unsolicited crew member. Jet's quest to find her mother will point them towards a fabled artifact of immense power and all the danger that comes with it.
Space Oddities is the beautiful, talented, and great-smelling love child of Indiana Jones and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
So if you're into screwball space adventures with a little heart, visit SpaceOdditiesComic.com for the latest updates and to learn more.
Space Oddities. It's good. I like it.